All right, let's try that again. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Ties Take Today Live. We do this each and every Thursday and Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. You guys already know the drill. Sorry for those technical difficulties, but it's live, and that's what happens when you're hosting, producing, editing, and doing all of the things. So that being said, on tonight's show, we're talking everything leadership, culture, growth, PR, and we have two incredible guests for you guys. We're going to be talking shortly to HR advisor, speaker, author, people and talent strategist Patrick Sutton, followed by a conversation with a nonprofit president, mental health advocate, also an author, and a CEO and business consultant. So these two guests tonight are doing the things, and I'm super excited to be sharing their stories and chatting with them. And you guys already know how we start each and every show. So Instagram at It's Ties Take Today, Facebook.com/at It's Ties Take Today. And then, of course, if you want to, or if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at It's Ties Take Today. You guys can get caught up with all 43 of our previous episodes, as well as some behind the scenes, some exclusive online content, and even take a look at who's coming up on future episodes of the show. And then, as always, if you guys have any questions or comments for our guests this evening, or if you just want to chime in with your thoughts, be sure to comment and let us know where you're watching from, and we will be sure to share your comments during the show. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and add our first guest. How's it going, Patrick?
Hey, Tyler, it's going pretty good. How's it going?
Doing well, staying busy. Thank you so much for joining us. I really want to just dive in and talk about your journey, introduce who you are. I know you have a lot of different projects and you have your hands involved with a lot of different things. So what really inspired you initially to choose a career in HR? And then can you just introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. All right. And that's a great question. My name is Patrick Sutton. I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am a creative at heart. And I think that is kind of what led me into this HR world, kind of. And I think too, because I have a English theater background, which that means I'm good at communicating and I like to be able to work with people. So that's kind of like my origin story, and wanting to be a multi-hyphenate as well. So keeping my hands in different things to keep me occupied is a little bit of the journey that got me to be where I am today, which I'm looking forward to sharing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, talk to us a little bit about the HR world and, how, what type of services do you offer for clients and what type of work do you do? Like, I know, people know what HR is, but like, break it down for us really.
Absolutely. So there's so many different pockets of HR. And I sometimes when I tell people I work in HR, they think, oh, can you help me get a job? I'm like, well, it's not, that's part of it, but that's not exactly what I do. So HR, there's the recruiting cycle. There's the employee relations part that has to investigate or look into a complaint or a situation that's going on. And then there's the learning and development part. There's the compensation, the benefits. There's many, many, many parts of HR. My specialty is I advise the startups. So the CEOs or founder, typically the company has about maybe 15 to maybe 50 employees. They're just getting off the ground. And if you are a founder, especially in the startup world, you potentially could be, if a new founder could be, let's say under 25. And shout out to the guys that just started Series. I think it's on LinkedIn. They're like at Yale or something like that. They're like 20 something years old. But it's one of those persons where managing HR and understanding how to deal with people, especially when your company is skyrocketing, can be overwhelming. And so what I like to do is I like to work with those CEOs and founders and say, all right, let's take a beat. Let's kind of look at how we want to scale your organization. Let's look at the people that you have. How do you see them moving into X, Y, and Z role? And as you move the people in these roles, of course, just like reality TV, drama can sometimes ensue. So you want to be able to advise how do you handle certain situations, but also making sure you're being compliant. So like there are laws that you have to kind of adhere to too. So while you may raise all the money or get millions of dollars to build your business, you also want to make sure you're protecting it. And you also want to make sure you're doing right by the people. So I am that HR advisor that helps the startups that at a fractional cost, and for just being on call to support when they need.
Absolutely. And I know you talked about, building those relationships. For you, how do you build trust and credibility quickly when it comes to like founders of businesses or, just working with CEOs? What has that process been like for you?
It's been fairly, what I consider it's fairly simple, and that's just because I lead with integrity, and I also, Tyler, believe in action speaks louder than words. So I will actually show you if you say that you're looking for someone that you need to talk to. Let's say it's Sunday, and a founder has an issue, or they want to really feel how to have a difficult conversation. I'm not one of those persons that like, hey, it's Sunday, I'm not available. I get what that fast-paced startup world is like. So, hey, you need to jump on a call with me. Let's think at 5:30, or let's think. I'm a morning person, so I may be up at 5 o'clock in the morning on the treadmill. You need to talk. All right, I'm here. Let's talk. How can I help you? Let's get through it. So, I'm kind of make myself available to assist and support, and I also follow up with those founders, and that establishes the trust right away, as well as just being authentic. And I like to be authentic. You may see me today with a shirt. I may have on a t-shirt tomorrow. Who knows? But I like to just keep it real too.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit more about like some of the challenges or obstacles that you've overcome during your career personally or professionally?
I think the biggest thing I had to overcome was, and I think that it's so important to share this with everyone, is just wanting that everything to happen overnight. Once you graduate from college, you think, wow, my career is about to just skyrocket. So there's a thing about the being patient that I had to grow into and realize that it doesn't happen overnight. You have to pace yourself and appreciate the journey. And I think that's something, looking hindsight, is just realizing that while I didn't have the overnight success that I instantly thought I would have just because I had gotten that degree, it's been worth it. The ups and downs, the lessons learned, and just realizing too, I am creating what I hope will be a legacy, which inspired the book. I want to be a legend. I don't want to be a one and done unicorn or that rare thing. So I think that's kind of who I am and what I'm hoping to project.
Absolutely. Speaking of your book, can you tell us a little bit more about your book and really where the inspiration came from? I know you just hinted at it a little bit. Let everybody know what the book's all about, what inspired you to write it, and where people can get their copy.
Absolutely. So the name of the book is called "Why Be a Unicorn When You Are a Legend." It's a practical guide. And I will tell you right now, Tyler, it is not a 200 or 300 page book. Now, I have read those kind of leadership books, but then you find yourself sometimes forgetting what are the principles? What is this? What is this? So I wanted to make something that's consumable. About 5 years ago, I did a whole career pivot. I went into the tech startup world, and I'm a little bit late. I'm a little bit older, so I had to reset and pivot the way, excuse me, my behaviors and how I interacted. And I remember getting a phone call from a recruiter that asked me if I was a unicorn. And I was like, what? What is a unicorn? It's like, you got to have all these skills that, we're looking for that rare employee. And I remembered after that phone call, it's something about that call that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, in a way, not in a bad way, but just a way like, I don't want to be that one and done or something that you'll never be able to attain, because that's kind of unrealistic. And that's chasing something that you may never obtain. Versus if you look at the greats, Michael Jordan, Maya Angelou, the Chicago Bulls. I'm from Chicago, so I got to give a Chicago Bulls. Phil Jackson, just any of those teams, those are legends. Those are people that you continue to hear about. And I was like, I want people to look at me as a leader and be like, oh, I want someone to manage me like Patrick Sutton or mentor me like Patrick Sutton or do these things. And I said, I don't want to be a unicorn, because that unicorn is that one and done or that unattainable, shiny new object. I want it to last for a really long time. And so it's like, it's the legends. The legends are the ones that you hear about. And so I wrote this book called "Why Be a Unicorn When You Can Be a Legend?" Like building those best practices and how to show up as your legendary self, where people will always remember you. Just like what you're doing now, Tyler. You are creating this legacy that even when you're long gone, your work will still be here. And to me, that's legendary versus you doing a one and done and it being, oh, it came and it went. You're creating a legacy that people will remember for years to come.
Absolutely. And I definitely appreciate that. So I definitely want to give you your flowers and recognition for the work that you're doing. But I appreciate that comment as
Oh, and
well.
Tyler, sorry, I forgot. The book comes out October 12th, and you'll be able to get it on Amazon. That's what I wanted to mention. October 12th, Amazon.
All right, so y'all already heard it, and we're gonna be sure to share it once it comes out, so that our followers can easily pick up their copy and place their orders. So when it comes to like public speaking and the speaking engagements that you do, what themes do you generally typically cover, and how do you tailor those conversations depending on the audience or the client?
Absolutely. So it's leadership, it's thought leadership, situational leadership. It's also I talk about just diversity, equity, and inclusion, like inclusive conversations. And whether you, gosh, dry throat, whether you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community or whether you are a person of color or any marginalized community, I like having those conversations. We are navigating through some very unique times in the world. And so what I like to do is provide a perspective of hope, optimism. And so I love to join panels where I can give thought to my experiences. And just to throw this in, which is kind of a fun fact, I'm not sure you even knew this, Tyler, but many, many years ago, I was in a movie called A Time to Kill, which starred Matthew McConaughey, Samuel Jackson, that dealt with race relations in the South. And so it's funny to be able to be a part of a book, a John Grisham novel that turned into a film, all that fun stuff, to be able to use that experiences to kind of find itself into my work as I talk about how do we navigate through challenging times and using that as a vessel for communication and being able to come to the table and realize that at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
Absolutely. And now, of course, I have to ask, without giving all the secrets away, for people out there that are maybe, working at a 9 to 5 and maybe wanting to further advance when it comes to like a true passion and not just be working like a corporate job, what advice would you give to people out there that may be in a transitional point in their life? And can you tell us a little bit more about the work and services, if you are currently accepting clients and helping people when it comes to those types of things?
Absolutely. So again, I also like multi-hyphenate. I dibble and dabble a little bit in everything. I'm a creative. So I come from that world too of being that independent. I'm an independent filmmaker. So I'm used to taking very small amounts of money to create what I consider artistry. And I look at the same way for my advising and coaching, especially for the new wave, the next generation of leaders. So I really try to mentor and support and coach people at a fractional budget, because I get it, working the 9 to 5, or even if you are doing the like service industry or you're door dashing or you're having to make ends meet, I'm here to champion, to support you. So you won't be, people sometimes think, oh, your rates are really, really high. And when they connect with me, they're like, oh, this is like movie and some nachos and popcorn. It's not a whole lot, because I feel like you'll get, or I'll get in tenfold the excitement or the enjoyment seeing you become successful and finding your mark, finding your niche. And again, things that I said, lessons learned, I thought it would happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for me, but lessons learned that I learned along the way is knowing that it takes hard work, it takes support, and I want to be there to help support people regardless of where they're at in their journey, to keep them feeling motivated. And no, it only takes one yes to really transition or to see your goal or your dream take off.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned the book, which, like I said, we're going to make sure everybody knows where to pick up their copy once it is published. But also, like, what's next for Patrick Sutton? Like, are we going to see more books? Are we going to see more creative projects? What's next for you?
So I think the book part, I think you'll probably see me talk about why be a unicorn, be a legend for the next year. I know that's going to be my focus. I'm going to do that, focus on the work that I'm doing. I am writing a script because, again, there is the filmmaker part in me. So I think I'm going to do some creative stuff. And that too goes into finding your balance. Even as someone who is a little bit mature in their career, I love my career, but I also find passion in being able to do creative projects. So I think for me, it'll be grassroots, getting the book out, maybe doing a couple of book signings, doing some talking engagements at local bookstores. I was in the library club in school, so going to some libraries. I still think that books are important. All books are important. So being able to do that and just really leaning into the space of I hate to steal this from the book, but it's kind of like a year of yes for me, like Shonda Rhimes' book. I'm just gonna just take on projects that I feel inspire and motivate others, because that's where you really I get the real reward, is seeing others flourish and be successful.
Absolutely. All right. So now I'm going to throw some rapid fire, random, just some fun questions if you're
I
ready.
love the fires. Okay.
All right. First up, coffee or tea?
Coffee, hands down.
Okay. Like straight black coffee or like creamer, sugar, flavor?
Well, before this month, it was definitely the hazelnut creamer and sugar, but I've decided to give up the sugar in my coffee for the next 2 months. So I will say that right now I'm just doing just straight black coffee, but I do drink coffee in the morning and I drink a cup before bed.
Okay. Okay. I'm definitely like a morning first thing before I do anything else. Beach vacation or city exploration?
That is a tough one, but I would have to say, given my last trip, I will say city. I love being able to explore the city. I love the city. New York and LA, those are my places. You can just get lost all day exploring the city.
That's how I feel about like Chicago and like you said, New York as well, for sure, hands down. If you had to choose only one, writing a screenplay or coaching a founder, if you could only pick one.
Tyler, you're doing me dirty. Tyler, oh my God. Oh man. Okay. All right. If I will say advising a founder, because that founder is going to remember me and maybe they'll fund my film project so I can write a script later. Boom.
Period. All right. Fiction or nonfiction when it comes to just like reading?
Probably fiction.
Okay. Okay. Fractional consulting or full-time HR executive role?
Ooh. For now, full-time HR and fractional when I retire.
Okay, I like it. I like it. You said you're not going anywhere. You're
Not
here
going
to.
anywhere. The multi-hyphenated in multiple streams of income and working them until I can't work anymore.
I love that. I love that. DEI workshop or leadership development session?
DEI workshop, because DEI is more than a buzzword.
I feel like that's like we hear DEI and that's like automatically people have like this negative connotation or stereotype. I think we need to really have more of these conversations, obviously, especially with the climate that we're in currently.
Yeah, all it takes is a conversation. Like it literally, like I said, DEI is more than a buzzword, and it comes from understanding and being able to fully understand what the whole, the concept of what to be having diverse thoughts and to make sure that we're being inclusive and just equality. I mean, that's sort of the foundation of what we should have in the world. And so I'll just leave it at there. But yeah, DEI is definitely more than a buzzword.
Absolutely. And then lastly, would you rather speak at a conference or host your own workshop?
Ooh, I would rather host my own workshop, because I feel like when you host your own workshop, you're not about being timed on a schedule, but it's more so you really get to kind of engage a little bit more at the workshop. It's a little bit more personal. And if it's yours, then it's yours. You get to kind of navigate how you want it to move from start to finish.
Absolutely. Patrick, thank you so much. And before you get out of here, be sure to let everybody know where to follow you and connect with you. Like you said, why be a unicorn when you can be a legend? It's going to be coming out soon, so I'm super excited. I know we have your LinkedIn scrolling at the bottom, but go ahead and let everybody know where to find you on social media and where they can reach you if they're interested in working with you.
Absolutely. Well, LinkedIn is like the source of truth for me, because that lets you know I'm being from Chicago. It gives you my street cred. You see that I have all the work that I've done, and that's like the best place to kind of reach out to me, as well as just hey, I'm a fan of yours, Tyler. So if I see some comments or whatever, I'll reach out to the people there. But LinkedIn, Patrick Sutton, that's who I am. Or you can check me out on Medium, because I do write articles on Medium that talks about future of work, leadership, Gen Z, millennial, all the fun things that maybe you've read about, but I do it in a little bit more of an entertaining type of way. So yeah, that's how you can find me. But I do want to let you know before this ends, Tyler, I'm serious about what I said. You creating what you're creating, it's legendary. It's legend status. People will be talking about you for years to come. So do not stop because I love what you are doing, and I sincerely mean that. You're the legend already. You're the legend I'm writing about, that I'm talking about. So just want you to know that.
Absolutely. I appreciate that so much. So much. Thank you. Hopefully, we can have you back on the show and we can do some reoccurring segments and interviews and check in with everything that you have going on because I know you're staying busy. So, mad props and much respect to you as well. Like I said, we'll be sure to be promoting the book release on all of our social media platforms as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Tyler. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you again. That was Patrick Sutton, HR advisor, speaker, author. The list goes on and on. So be sure to check out his book. And if you guys can hear, I told you all, I'm live. I got a 5-month-old golden doodle, and he is in here making noise. So I apologize if I'm casually muting myself, but hey, we're making it work. So I'm super excited. Once again, that was Patrick Sutton. And coming up on deck, give me just a moment to go ahead and switch this banner. And we're going to keep the conversation going with our next guest. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add our next guest to the virtual platform. How's it going, Keaun?
Well, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. So like I said during the opener, we're going to dive right in. Keaun is a CEO and business consultant, nonprofit president, mental health advocate, also an author. So I really want to just start and really dive in and talk about your early journey. And can you kind of define what that journey looked like early on and where it's gotten to the point where you are today?
Yes. So my journey has been a lot of bumps and bruises, but I will say that I'm happy to be where I am today. Just because I've learned from my mistakes, I've been able to overcome a couple different hurdles. But first off, starting off in high school, I was straight A student and went on to William and Mary. From there, I had a career in teaching. Also started my business while I was teaching during the pandemic, and then I decided to branch out, look into the nonprofit sector. Been a president of a similar business that also helps kids and youth and adults alike really improve their academic goals and things like that. And then recently, I've been writing books. Really enjoyed sharing my story of mental health challenges, overcoming those, as well as just telling my story about how to be a successful business owner.
Absolutely. And, becoming a CEO and a business owner, was there any moment in your life, like a defining moment where you felt really inspired and you were like, this is what my purpose is. This is what my calling is.
I think initially, for a lot of business owners, they get to that point where they really want to make money by themselves and for themselves. And I think that I got to a point during the pandemic where I had just got laid off from a position and I really needed some extra cash and really wanted to do something I enjoy. So I really thought about, okay, what can I do? I looked into tutoring. I said I was pretty good at school. So I was like, maybe I can help some kids. But then it just expanded and I was able to really hit the ground running with a lot of my initiatives, receive some awards for that, and just continue to make an impact.
Absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit more about higher purpose learning and talk about what you guys are all about and make sure you introduce higher purpose learning to our audience because I know you're very active on social media and posting inspirational content. So can you tell us a little bit more about higher purpose learning and where people can learn more about you guys?
Yes. So we're pretty much on all social media platforms. Higher Purpose Learning, the name itself. Um, it was I came up with the name just because I come from a Christian background, and I really believe that everyone's here for a purpose. And I think that once we discover that, we're able to really achieve our dreams. And one of the things that I really tell people all the time is go do what you're passionate about. Go do the things that you really feel like you can make an impact doing. In doing that, I really try to open up the field to underserved communities, those communities that may not can afford tutoring. So I'm always looking for grant opportunities to ensure that my students can pay for my services or get the help and assistance that they need for free. I know for me, scholarships were my lifeline in college. Single parent household, I said I can't afford to go to school, but I can look for an opportunity that may pay my way. And so I was able to do that and just continue to do that through higher purpose learning, preparing kids for college, preparing them to succeed in high school, middle school, elementary school. Um, and that's one of the things I really like doing.
Absolutely. And for you, as president of your nonprofit, what has been like the proudest moment for you thus far?
Yes, I think the proudest moment for me, being president of my nonprofit, is being able to serve kids at no cost to them, but being able to see them have real progress. I know for one of my students, they were kicked out of school, and I know that we were able to work together, and they were able to pass the SOL with a pass advanced score. And it just shows that sometimes it's not the student; it may be the system that they're in, the environment that they're in. That's one of my proudest moments, and also just being able to get grant opportunities through my business and through my nonprofit so that I can continue to serve more students.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's so inspiring. And that's just some of the work that you do. For you, you talk a lot about mental health and being an advocate for mental health. Were there any like personal experiences or things that you've overcome? Like I know you share a lot about your journey. Any key defining like experiences that you've experienced in your life, either personally or professionally?
Yes, I think my mental health journey, I've had many instances where I felt like this was going to be just the final straw for me. I think that I've been able to overcome so many challenges at this point that is only up from here. I know that being a person who's so driven, so motivated to help people, sometimes you got to pay attention to yourself. So early on, I didn't really take close attention to my self care, overloaded myself with work and responsibilities. And sometimes it just causes you to go through things that you may have never experienced before. I also had a life or death experience 2 years ago, and I really was able to go through that experience, get the proper treatment, and really gain back my mental clarity, gain back my business traction, and my impact. And it's just going through those challenges, but also seeing that you can put one foot in front of the other and overcome those things has been like my biggest thing that I tell people and try to motivate people toward.
Absolutely. And I know you've also wrote a book. So can you tell us a little bit about your book and where people can get their hands and how they can read your work as well?
Yes, so I have a book called Invisible Scars: The Unseen Battle for My Mind. I really love the title because so many times in life we're tasked with different things. We get scratches, we get bruises that you can see physically, but there are so many things that happen to us that people can't see. And mental health is so important. It's available on Amazon. It really goes into, it tells the story of not only myself, but people who I've been around and people I've had conversations with, and kind of just blends together in a narrative. It has poetic tone to it. It also has mental health strategies, coping strategies, as well as resources in the appendix of the book. Resources not only for people who have mental health challenges, but people who are going through reentry as well.
Absolutely. And Keon, for people out there that may be watching or maybe watching this later, who may be going through some mental health challenges or obstacles that they're looking to overcome, what is like the best piece of advice that you've been given, or even just the best, just a piece of advice that you would give to those out there that may be watching this?
Yes, I would definitely say that find your person, find the people who you feel most comfortable with, and remember, it only takes a second to check on with someone. I know for me, sometimes I get busy and I may not check on this family member or someone that I care about, but it just takes one moment to check on someone and ask them how they're doing, and that may be a life changing moment for them because they may be, at their final straw. We see so many mental health challenges throughout the world, in our local communities, and people are able to overcome these things. People are able to get the proper treatment, mental health and mental illness. Just like you get a cold and you treat it and you treat the symptoms and you get over it, but it doesn't go away. You can always get a cold again. Same thing with mental illness. You're able to treat the symptoms. You're able to get the help that you need. But the biggest thing is to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. And for you, shifting gears a little bit and talking about being an entrepreneur, how do you approach risk taking and like decision making, especially when it comes to leading both a business and a nonprofit?
Yes, I definitely would say I'm a risk taker. I think that I bank on myself 9 times out of 10. Um, I'm always looking for opportunities to expand my knowledge. I learn something new every day. Someone was joking when I met them at a event today that they see me have a new certification every week. But I'm always just continuously learning, learning to take risks, learning to move with time and to grow because so many things are changing with AI, with all the things going on politically, um, and just the world in general. You have to make sure that you're always continuously changing, adapting to the things that are happening, and also just making sure to leaving your footprint. So taking risks is something that I'm really challenged to do. I challenge others to do because it's something I really like doing.
Absolutely. And I know you talked about, collaborating and networking and the importance of different partnerships. For you, was there any any specific partnership or networking opportunity that helped change the trajectory of your work that you're doing currently?
Yes. So I want to give a big shout out to the Chambers of Commerce. I know I'm sit on the advisory board for the Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce, and I also work very closely with Black Brand in my local community in Hampton Roads, Virginia. These are two instrumental um, organizations that really help propel my business, and I think that being able to connect with them, being able to network with them, and go through their accelerator programs has been life changing for me. And I really encourage anyone who wants to start a business, has already started a business, really network with your chambers of commerce because there are so many great resources that people can get for free, but they just may not check on it, they may not look for it. So definitely telling people to really look at those free resources and how you can connect with someone who may be able to help you.
Absolutely, dropping gems. And when it comes to purpose and passion for you, how do you make sure that those two things are at the forefront? Especially when like the demand and you might be overwhelmed or like, how do you just make sure that you're living your purpose and passion?
Yeah. I think just being able to do something that I enjoy that I would be able to do for free. So when I help a student and I see them progress, or I win a grant opportunity that's able to provide a free scholarship for a student to get services, it really brings joy to me. And it's something that I'm like, oh, that's a relief off my shoulders because I'm able to help someone. And I think that money pays the bills sometimes, all the time, really. But sometimes you want to do things that you're passionate about and that you can go to sleep at night and feel good about what you did that day.
Absolutely. So let's talk like 5 years from now, or just the overall vision. What's your ultimate vision for your business, nonprofit, and the advocacy work that you do? We can even do 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. So 5 to 10 years for my business and nonprofit, I really would like to establish in-person centers within some of these inner city schools. They're able to service more students and have a home base. I really want to be able to get into more school systems to be able to impact more students, expand my services to other states, and not being just virtually. And then just in terms of my personal career, I want to continue to be able to promote. I like writing books, so continue to be able to do that to help others um, and just really continue to learn new skills. I know one skill that I've always wanted to do was be a lawyer. I kind of keep pushing it back, pushing it back. But maybe one day, once I've really feeling a good space, I'll be able to go to law school and achieve that dream. Um, but time will tell.
Absolutely. And lastly, my last question for you before we do a quick game of rapid fire or random questions. For those watching, I know you gave some advice earlier, but what advice would you give to someone who wants to align their career with their personal mission and values? Like if they're being challenged right now, what advice would you offer them?
Yeah, I think definitely one piece of advice I will offer them is seek mentorship. Look at someone who in your community or in a broader network who has done what you want to do. Seek mentorship. I have a lot of great mentors through the Chambers of Commerce, just through SCORE mentoring, and just through many walks of life. They've been able to help me get to where I am by taking not just shortcuts, but just giving me advice so I don't make the same mistakes they did. So definitely leaning on mentorship, I think would be important. That way you can really pursue your passion, start a business, start a nonprofit, but just not have to go over all the hurdles.
Absolutely. All right, Keon, ready for these random questions. First up, morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Coffee, tea, or a different type of beverage altogether?
Coffee. I got so much coffee experience. It's ridiculous.
So I asked Patrick earlier, so I'm gonna ask you the same. Like straight up black coffee or like flavors and
Oh
sweet.
yeah, flavors, cream and sugar. I got an espresso machine right next to me, so I love doing things like that.
That is so funny. So this morning I ran out of creamer and I was like, this drinking coffee black is not where it's at. And I was like over here listening to like music from 2005. Like I was going crazy. So definitely all the sugar, all the creamer. Podcasts or audiobooks?
My podcast.
Do you have like a favorite podcast? I say today.
I'll choose that one today. Yeah.
There we go. Work from home or in office?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I want to say work from home.
Okay. Pen and notebook or like a digital planner or calendar?
Digital.
For sure. I use both and I still like deadlines. Books or not when it comes to reading, nonfiction or fiction?
Fiction.
Okay. And motivational speaker that you admire most?
Motivational speaker I admire most. Trying to think. There's one in particular. I would say I really like the way that Barack Obama spoke. When he gives some of his speeches in his early career. That's all I would say right now.
Okay, for sure. And then lastly, if you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
Instantly master. I think with the AI revolution, I think that would be the skill that I want to master as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. Keaun, thank you so much for joining us. Before you get out of here, be sure to let everybody know where to follow you and connect with you and learn more about the amazing work that you're doing, as well as your nonprofit. I know your Instagram is currently scrolling at the bottom.
Yes, so you can follow me on LinkedIn. That's where I post a lot of my content about professional things. And you also follow me on Facebook at Keaun Barrett, and you'll be able to find me there. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then BarrettBreaksBarriers.com, right?
Yes, Barrett Breaks Barriers. That's my I started to rebrand myself, and instead of having I have separate websites for everything, but Barrett Breaks Barriers really encompasses all the things that I do, and you can really look deeper into my journey.
Absolutely. Keaun, thank you so much for the amazing work that you're doing. And hopefully we can have you back on to talk about all the projects and all the amazing things that you're doing. So I appreciate you checking in and joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So be sure to check out Barrett Breaks Barriers. And we're also going to put Keaun's social media up on our social media pages so you guys can find and connect with all of tonight's guests. That's going to do it for this edition of Ties Take Today Live. We will be back with more episodes and content and special guests. If you haven't already, I do have to plug The Agency, which is now streaming on Tubi. So that's just a shameless plug. Your boy is doing all the PR and social media. So if you haven't already, we're going to be talking more with some of the co-stars, some of the stars of the show, as well as some of the writers and everybody from The Agency. So go ahead and do it. Find some time this weekend and binge watch The Agency. And I just want to say thank you again to our guest this evening, Patrick Sutton, as well as Keaun Barrett. So be sure to follow them on social media. Like I said, we'll put all of their social media on our pages so we can make it real simple. So just go to TiesTakeToday.com, YouTube. It's Ties Take Today, Facebook. It's all real simple for you guys. Also, why be a unicorn when you can be a legend? Patrick Sutton's book. So be sure to go and support all of the amazing work that both of our guests are doing this evening. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys right back here. Ties Take Today Live every Thursday and Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern.